I refused to give my brother all of my money, so my mother branded me as selfish. So I showed her how selfish I can really be. My brother Austin called me on a Tuesday morning asking if we could meet for coffee. He sounded weird on the phone, his voice doing that thing where he's trying to act casual, but something's clearly wrong. I met him at the Starbucks near his apartment and he looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes, wearing the same hoodie I'd seen him in 3 days earlier at mom's house. He ordered a black coffee and sat down across from me without making eye contact. I need to borrow some money, he said finally, just temporary, until I get back on my feet. I asked him how much he needed and he said $20,000. My coffee went down wrong and I had to cough for a solid 10 seconds. 20,000, Austin, what happened? He launched into this story about his business failing, some crypto investment thing he'd been working on that crashed. Said he'd put everything into it. His savings, money he'd borrowed from friends, even cash advances on 3 credit cards. Now he was drowning and needed help before the whole thing collapsed. I felt bad for him. I really did. But $20,000 wasn't exactly pocket change for me either. I'd spent 6 years working 2 jobs while going to nursing school, lived with 2 roommates in a basement apartment that smelled like mold, drove a car with 200,000 miles on it because I couldn't afford anything better. Every dollar I'd saved came from sacrificing things other people my age took for granted. I told Austin I could lend him $3,000, which was honestly stretching it for me, but it was something. His face changed immediately. $3,000? That won't even cover my minimum payments. I need the full 20 or I'm completely screwed. I explained that I didn't have $20,000 just sitting around, that the money I'd saved was supposed to be for a down payment on a condo, my emergency fund, my future. He leaned back in his chair and said, "You have it though, right? In your savings account. You could get it today if you wanted to." Technically, yes, I said, but that's not the point. That money took me years to save. The way he said technically made my skin crawl. Like my years of sacrifice were just a technicality getting in the way of what he needed. We argued for 20 minutes in that Starbucks until finally he stood up and said he couldn't believe his own sister would watch him lose everything over money, that I'd changed since I started making decent money as a nurse, that I'd forgotten where I came from. 2 days later, my mom called. She talked to Austin and she was disappointed in me. Disappointed. Like I was a child who'd misbehaved instead of a 29-year-old woman who'd worked her ass off for every dollar she had. Mom said family helps family, that Austin had always been there for me growing up, that I was being selfish by hoarding money while my brother suffered. I tried to explain my side, but she cut me off. "You make good money now," she said. "You can afford to help him. What's 20,000 to you?" "It's everything," I said. "It's 6 years of saving. It's my security. If something happens to me, that money is all I have." She said I was being dramatic, that Austin would pay me back as soon as his next venture took off, that I was choosing money over family, and she didn't raise me to be that kind of person. The word selfish kept coming up. She must have used it 15 times in that conversation. When I wouldn't change my mind, she said fine, but don't expect her to forget this. That Austin would remember who was there for him when things got hard. The guilt trip continued for weeks. Austin stopped responding to my texts. Mom would bring it up every time I called. Even my aunt started making comments at family dinners about how some people forget their roots once they get a little money. 3 months later, I found out the truth about Austin's crypto business. I was at a party when I ran into Jake, Austin's former roommate. He'd had a few drinks and started talking about how crazy it was that Austin had blown through $60,000 in 6 months on that stupid online gambling habit. "Gambling habit," I said. "I thought it was a crypto investment." Jake laughed. "That's what he told your mom? He's been betting on sports online since last year. Lost everything, then kept doubling down trying to win it back." The crypto thing was just a cover story. My hands started shaking. I pulled out my phone and started searching Austin's social media that I'd muted months ago. There were photos from Vegas 2 weeks after he'd asked me for money. Him at expensive restaurants, at concerts, buying rounds for friends at bars. Every photo dated and tagged. Proof that he'd somehow found money to blow on entertainment while supposedly drowning in debt he'd guilted me about. I took screenshots of everything. Then I drove to my mom's house. She answered the door and immediately started in about how Austin was really struggling and maybe I'd reconsidered helping him. I opened my phone and showed her the photos. All of them. Explained what Jake had told me. Watched her face change as she realized what Austin had actually wanted my $20,000 for. But what she said next made me realize this went deeper than I thought. And that's when things took a turn I never expected. The rest of the story is on my channel or linked below.